Hey everyone, I'm Mike Roberts, founder and CEO of SpyFu and RivalFlow. Since we launched RivalFlow almost a year ago, we've made over 600, coming up on 650 improvements, big and small, to RivalFlow, and about 100 of them are along a particular line. Let me explain. One of the things the way that RivalFlow works is that we read your competitor's page and we read your page, and we find which questions they're answering that you're not, and which questions they're answering more thoroughly. And then we generate the content to fill that gap, and we blend it so that it fits onto your page, and then we show you right where to put it, right? So one of the one of the strengths of RivalFlow is that we prevent the LLMs, the ChatGPT or whatever, from hallucinating. They're creative, but yet they also hallucinate. And so the way that we do that is we use your competitor's page as a source of truth, right? So we're not going to make something up that's not a fact or something we can back up based on what they've got, right? And of course, blending it together with what you have. So one of the challenges there is that some of the things that your competitor talks about, for example, brands or like locations, are things that may not be something that exists on your site. So the way that we handle this is, we want it to actually speak the truth and be specific about the truth, but we don't necessarily want to just tell you to publish that blindly. So what we do is we highlight those things, right? So here we're talking about like NerdWallet and Bankrate, right? And so we're looking for brands in the answers, and in this case, we're identifying brands that are neither NerdWallet nor Bankrate. I want you to understand the difference between the brand, like when it's relatively easy to understand or detect if we see like bankrate.com being mentioned. And we generally, we actually use, that's a subclass of this problem, and we've broadly solved that problem, right? We basically detect when, for example, you're one dentist or one website, let's say it's a dentist, and they're talking about the other one, or and that's a pretty hard version of that problem to solve. But let's say that we're looking at SpyFu versus one of our competitors. We wouldn't want to be talking about the other the competitor's brand, in general. But when we're talking about things like another brand, so here we got Venmo and PayPal all being mentioned, what we want to do is highlight those for you so that you don't blindly do it. And of course, you can remove those by unchecking the highlight, and depending on whether or not you've got this highlight checked or not, when you do copy to clipboard or copy everything and paste into Google Docs, those will either be highlighted or not highlighted, right? So you can use that in your review cycle as you're moving along. So let me show you some more examples. Here's one where we're actually accurately identifying another brand, right? And this is like a pretty easy one to identify. But let's see if there's other things in here. There might be. I'll just click through. I have just a few examples that I know have some things. Oh, look, this is the one that I actually wanted to find, right? Because here it's identifying a specific location, right? And in the context of this of this product, right? You have Phoenix Eye and Arizona Eyes, and generally, probably they both want to be referring to the U.S. Southwest, but let's make sure, right? Like if we're going to be speaking about a particular area, like if you're a lawyer in St. Louis, we're not just going to automatically include information from your competitor that's in Kansas City, right? So we're highlighting things, not just cities, not just states, but like locations in general, okay? So here, like the U.S., right? Just it's in there. You can unhighlight it, right? But we just want to make sure that when you're speaking and we're speaking on your behalf, that you have the opportunity to make sure that those things are that we're speaking the right way, right? Obviously, we want to be cautious, but for real, like this is a difficult thing to solve. This is a culmination of honestly like 100 different solutions all combined together, right? So here's another example. We're looking at Arizona. This is like a local set of these are like local restaurants or something, I think. So here we're identifying the names of local restaurants of brands, and we want to make sure that if we're like talking about this on your behalf, that you see it in advance, right? I will show you towards the end here that like the difference between having this highlighted when you copy and paste it and not. So we'll come back to this real, kind of at the end here. All right, so here's a subtle one, right? Here's Ahrefs, and interestingly, here's SpyFu. So this is our campaign, and this is Ahrefs. And what's interesting is that it does such a good job of subtly identifying that site audit is, in this particular case, it's a branded product, right? It's not always a branded product. It's a thing. Site audit is a thing, right? Or SEO audit. We're not going to highlight that. SEO audit, we don't identify as a brand, right? But we do identify their product as a brand. This is very difficult to do, y'all. This is like, I mean, I'm telling you, we've spent a good deal of time perfecting this kind of thing just so that you're doing the stuff and you can put your stamp on a stamp of approval on the right things. This is not in any way, we were nowhere near like fundamentally, we weren't doing this at all at launch. This is all brand new and is the culmination of thousands of hours of effort, right? So here's another example where we're identifying phone numbers. We identify phone numbers, we identify addresses, emails, all these things. And then here we're taking this relatively short and subtle concept of like just a tiny acronym and correctly identifying that it is in fact the core brand of Hello IPS. And yeah, you see it right here. IPS, there we go. IPS branded gifts, perfect. So let's see what happens when we copy and paste these things into a new doc. I'm just going to type in, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can type into the URL bar doc.new, see doc.new, just like that, and it creates a new Google Doc. Don't know if you knew that, but anyway, if you didn't, now you know. Right, so here we go. We're going to do copy, and I'm just going to copy just this answer, and then I'm going to paste it right here. And you see those highlights show up. Oh, this is a good example too. Here we're actually highlighting not just brands, but simultaneously locations. So we got the Scottsdale-based Allen and Phillips, Starwoods, Ritz-Carlton, but also China, Spain, Mexico, and the Bahamas. We're highlighting Arizona State University, as well as Sun Devil, as well as this person, Mark Phillip, Dino Ortiz, or Ortiz, I guess, and Hotel Valley Ho in Scottsdale. This is perfect. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. Actually, I'm going to copy all questions and answers. You can then paste the entire thing in here. And when you do that, they all show up, right? So you can review these, have your client review them. You go Control A, you go here, and then you go none. And guess what? They're all gone all at once, no matter what. One of the things that we do, right, we're highlighting the stuff inside of the questions, but we also highlight them outside of the questions. This was actually one of the first things that we did. And by the way, there used to be like sometime like right after we launched, lots and lots of these branded questions, and we've actually eliminated quite a few of them. They used to be branded mostly to the competitor's brand name, and so we've ultimately eliminated those with honestly a lot of like really hard work, and so you just wind up not seeing them. We don't filter them out, we just actually rephrase them so that the questions wind up not being branded, and then so the ones that are here are branded. That's like one of the first things we ever did. The other thing that you'll notice that you don't notice, like it's like the funny thing is that some of the stuff that we've done are things that you aren't going to notice, but because they just feel better, right? But we used to wind up having questions about like, oh, what's your privacy policy or your cookies, because sometimes those things pop up on the page. Hey, let me tell you all about my cookies. Well, all that stuff is gone. We don't have any of those questions in there anymore. But the other thing that you'll note is that the order of the questions is the most relevant to the topic. That's just generally the case, and it's relatively, believe it or not easy to do to like actually figure out which questions you should be answering first. So you basically can go from top down, and you're going to be answering the most important questions. You're going to be covering the best stuff, wind up being here at the top. Let's look at the topic of this article is socializing an overprotective dog. Is it possible, right? So here's the top question. How does a lack of proper socialization affect a dog's behavior? Now you be the judge. Look at the bottom question. Why is my dog so overprotective? Or is your dog possessive of you and acts out, right? So why is the dog overprotective is less relevant to the actual topic than how does a dog's lack of proper socialization affect a dog's behavior. Here's one where the topic here is it cheaper to embroider or print? And the top question is, why is embroidery generally preferred for business shirts, polo shirts, and so on? And then the bottom question is, what is the process of digitizing in embroidery, right? Still a relevant question, but less less important for you to answer than that top question, right? And here is another example. This one is about what's the difference between arbor and trellis, and can you tell an arbor and trellis and pergola apart? And then the bottom one is how do pergolas serve as outdoor living areas, right? So you see what's going on here? This is some like voodoo Jedi stuff that, you know, honestly, like I said, all of this is really like thousands of hours of work, but here it is in a short video for you.